Here. Let's try that again now I've got my microphone down. Hey rail fans, welcome to another one of my streams, and today it's going to be the Northern Trans-Pennine. Heavy freight pack thingy is due out, I believe, tomorrow, so in anticipation of that, it's been a little while since I've been up and down this line in anything other than the 101, so I thought why not get a little practice running. So here we are. So we'll do it in the 47, I think. Not forgetting that somebody did ask me if I would do this in the 47 next time. Totally forgetting who did actually ask me though, so apologies for that if you do see this and it was you. I did remember. I will go back and look as well at some point. So, what shall we do weather-wise? Well, it's absolutely tipping it down here just now, so it can be tipping it down in the Pennines as well. Because why not? Right, what service shall we do? I seem to have done all the westbound express services already. Right, that's all good. We'll just do a westbound normal service then. That's all right. I can live with that. I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference how much stuff you see on the line. We'll take 1621, see if we get a bit more tea time traffic and stuff. But I've not noticed a massively significant difference. So calling it the principal stations only, which means Stalybridge, Huddersfield, and another one that I can't remember the name of on this side of the hills. Really well prepared me, as you can tell. Totally not just winging this on the spur of the moment. Nope. No siree. And I did notice earlier on as well when I was loading the game up, it was in fact fully loaded by the time I got back from making my cup of tea, so I'm wondering if the patch they issued today did something about the loading times. So first thing we need to do is unlock the doors, and I can't mind what side of the train the platform's on. It's on the left. Also can't remember where any of the buttons are. There's a key down here somewhere. Yep. Let's put the straight brake on. Let's turn the driver's brake off. Now I think there's a couple of light switches over here that I might want to remember to turn on. Marker lights on. Desk light on. Yep, thank you. Don't need that, don't need that. What's that? Meh, don't think it's that important to be honest with you. Put the wipers on that side, and can't remember where the lever is here. Definitely not winging it though. There is an AWS controller knocking about up here. Turn it on if you like, but I mean, it really doesn't do anything. Okay, so actually a few seconds late because I was faffing about, but not to worry. And I'm just going to get rid of this. Release the brakes. Doesn't matter if we're a couple of seconds late getting away anyway, because you're going to be you're not going to be on time in the 47, probably. I never am. Okay, so it's 10 miles an hour for the first section here. It's fairly flat and level leaving Leeds, so you don't need to worry about the thing suddenly rolling away from you or trying to roll back the way that you do going in and out of Manchester. And that speed limit's all the way up to just around the second set of points beyond the signal gantries here. We can get away with just using the straight brakes at this sort of speed. So it's still technically 10 miles an hour. It's when the rear of the train passes the points back there that you're supposed to put it down, but you can let it roll out a little bit. Okay. Got a nice clear signal ahead, so we can just start picking it up a little bit. Once I get clear of these junctions, we can really pile it on. Ah, nostalgia, eh? They don't make it like they used to. I better get back in the cab with the signal coming up. Right, so it's green. And once the local crosses the points here, we can really whack it open. In fact, so once you put the power down, Dewsbury, that's the name of the place. Yeah, once you put the power down, it is a bit asthmatic, it has to be said sometimes. Don't expect to keep your arrival times in the 47. Dawdle in the 45 once you've done it a few times. As far as I can gather from old records and what have you, the 47 would have been an occasional sight in the Pennines, I think, but it wasn't really the backbone of the fleet. The 45 was really the workhorse of the Pennines. I think the 47 is really in here just to give us a wee bit more to do. It's not to say the 47 was never ever seen, but when they could, it was all 45s that were just a little bit better at getting up and down those hills with a full train behind them. I think most of the 47s spent the bulk of their lives in the western region, although I could be mistaken about that. Pulled the wrong lever there. Get back up to full whack. I mean, we'll be doing well if we're even up to 50 miles per hour by the time we reach the speed limit change. And if you're driving with this thing turned off here, with just the distance to the signal in the top right, not the actual aspect showing, you do have to bear in mind that this only refers to main signals. So if there are any repeaters or distant signals, they won't necessarily always register here. So keep your eyes peeled. Otherwise you end up going from a green one straight into a red one and wondering what the hell happened. Oops. Speaking of which, better make sure it is a green one. And AWS, even though I turned it on before I left the station, as you can see, nothing doing. It wasn't laid on the stretch of line, or the magnets that activate it were not laid on this stretch of line until much later on in the 1980s. Getting up to 45 now. It's, slowly but steadily. As the old spoof BR ads used to say, we'll get you there eventually. Not always an entirely deserved reputation, incidentally, it has to be said. They generally actually did do quite well. Is this the one? No, it's the... You can test a fire alarm in the 45 as well for some reason. It's really noisy though. So 5 miles to run to Dewsbury, and we're supposed to be there in 6.5 minutes. And we're only doing 45. We might not be too bad getting in there. Although really need to be going a little faster. Because once you take the braking and stuff into account, it's going to add a bit of time on. So into the tunnel, just leave the cab lights off. They wouldn't turn them on. You might turn your wipers off for a long tunnel, but I'm not fumbling around looking for the switch in the dark. Some trains I can find all the controls in the dark, but not this one. I have to admit, these tunnels are a part of the reason that I don't do or haven't done maybe so much streaming from the northern trans-Pennine, especially because certainly a patch or two ago the lighting in these tunnels was not that great, and it's not the most thrilling thing to sit and watch. So up to 60 now, we'll just ease the power off. The end of the tunnel is in sight. Honestly, nearly there. Yay! God damn, this is a long tunnel. And let's just rein that speed in a teeny bit. The brakes are not totally crap on this. Certainly they're a lot less fiddly than the vacuum efforts on the 101. That said, I haven't actually driven this for ages, so it could still be a bit of a clumsy stop. Hey, hi Tommy, welcome mate, good to see you. Not long started, so I'm just getting a little bit of practice in for the freight trains that are coming. Well, I better just do a quick run up and down to make sure I remember where all the tricky bits are. And yes, I will be getting it pretty much as soon as it comes out. So we've let that speed just drop off a little bit. The problem with the 47 is that every mile an hour that you allow it to lose takes you ages to gain back, especially if the track slopes up the way. Some bits are not too bad, but some of them are an absolute mare. Let's just shed some of that speed. Initial application should be fine to begin with. My favourite sort of signal, the semaphores, that I don't know how to read properly. But I kind of know a little bit, but they still confuse me sometimes. So with just initial braking, the stopping distance is actually alright. Better than I remembered it being. Let's see how we're doing for time. Oh, we're on time as well. That's. I wonder if they've tweaked this locomotive in the patch. I'm never on time in this thing. Now let's see. Here's the real test. See if I got the back on. Oh, stopped just short. Yeah. See, this is why I needed the practice. 18 yards made all the difference there. Bugger. Oh well. So, like I do on Tees Valley, I am just going to lock the train up slightly early, so that when I get that little green flash in the corner there telling me to move, I can just go straight away. The TSW server. I'm not sure what you mean by their server. Do you mean like the Train Sim Live thing? I've not looked at it, to be honest with you. Although I think whenever they're updating it, it goes offline. Because I noticed that the day before Tees Valley launched and the day before the 155 launched, that live thing on the front page went down. Yeah, I've not tried it, but if they're releasing new content tomorrow, really wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't worry about it, it'll be back soon enough. And you can always get, you can get the thing through the PlayStation Store anyway. The last couple of add-ons that came out, I got them at midnight basically as they launched. Couldn't get them through the game launcher, got them fine through PlayStation Network. So 6 miles to Huddersfield, and we have 10 minutes to do it. I think this is where I usually start to lose time, because there's a hill climb and a very, very slow entry to Huddersfield itself. I tell you what, as well, there's so many nuclear power stations along this route, man, it's crazy. At least I'm assuming what those big cooling towers are. Oh, signal coming up. Make sure to see what it is. Right, I got to 50 miles an hour a lot faster than I was expecting to there as well. I wonder if they've slightly upgunned this thing. Oh shit, 45. I've derailed there before going over that too fast. It's the only place I've ever derailed a train. Oh well, never mind. They never tell us what's in the updates beyond bug fixes and support for whatever the latest route is. You do kind of have to go raking about on the internet to find the patch notes, I find. Oh, losing the camera. I just need to spin it round so I can actually see the approaching signal, and it's all good. I hope that was a green that I went through. Yeah. Oh shit, I hope it wasn't a yellow. Okay. Squeaky mud button time, boys. Because if that last one was a yellow, I'm in trouble. Right, got away with that one. That's fine. Right, there'll be we're going downhill slightly at the moment, and the gradient change happens at the bottom of this tunnel, so if you're ready to put the power on, you can do this without losing too much speed. And then just put the foot down. Normally it just about stops at losing more speed in this this loco, but seems to have actually stopped the deceleration altogether. Yeah, I think they've definitely done something to the 47 in that patch. Or they've lightened the coaches, one of the two. Hey Nick, welcome man. Good to see you. What do I think the DLC's price going to be? I don't know. I imagine it's going to be 11, 12 pound or so. Same as the... What the hell was the name of the thing? Like the 155 and the 182. I mean, they're saying it's 3 new locos. It might be a bit dearer. I don't know, they've not released a pack quite like this one, so there's not really anything to compare it to, I'm afraid. And I am certainly not privy to any information that anyone else isn't, or isn't. Yeah, it's been a long day. Right, so I am almost imperceptibly gaining the tiniest bit of speed going up a hill in a 47. I am... Yeah, that needle is definitely just about moving. I am pleasantly surprised. Certainly in the past I found myself crawling up here at 35 or 40 and just not able to make any headway. No real reason for doing that other than I wanted to things to click on and play with in the cab are good. You can never have too many things to click on and play with, in my opinion. Okay, so on approach to Huddersfield now, we're still a mile and a half out, but we have to be aware that immediately beyond that 40 mile per hour speed limit, there's a 15. It's only a couple hundred yards beyond it, so plan your braking accordingly. Don't leave it to the last second to arrive at 40 miles an hour at that sign, because you're going to you will have an oh shit moment immediately if you do that. Sometimes those signals are actually yellow to encourage you to slow down as well. So from 50 miles an hour we should be more or less okay for the braking. The hundreds, the 15s maybe slightly further back than I thought it was. So there's the caution signal up ahead. Aye, that's fine. I'm going to take it down a little bit further. It's also downhill on the way in as well, so allow for a little bit of the train trying to roll away from you. Aye, so it's 180 or so yards to the 15. Basically where that shunt signal is in front of us is where the 15 starts. It is signposted as well, but it's not always very easy to see the signposts. And those 10-mile-an-hour posts are only for trains going down to the platform on the left there. Only time I've been down there is in a 101. So it's the signal at the end of the platform on the left that we're looking at, so we can roll past this first one on the right. How am I doing for time? More or less on time. Could have made a slightly quicker entry there. Stop! I wasn't worried at all. Right, let's see how we did with getting the back on this time. That's more like it. Oh, camera not cooperating. Yeah, you could get another short train in there. Maybe squeeze a two-car 101 in or something like that. So we were a few seconds late, so I'm just going to be ready to lock up and go as soon as we can. Right, Staley Vegas, here we come. As a friend of mine tells me, it's affectionately known. So just careful to keep the revs in the green. The only time you're ever in danger of going up into the red is the yellow is pretty much the first couple of 100 yards getting underway. Thanks, Tommy, that wasn't too bad if I do say so myself, that wee stop there. I'm never entirely sure how long it takes the back of the train to get into the tunnel, which is what you're supposed to wait for before you can put the foot down. Right, so we're in now. Oh, that just sounds mighty. Wonder if I can find the... Not sure if that even opened or not. I don't think it actually makes a difference on this one. Some of the German trains, it makes a massive difference when you open the window. I never bother turning the cab lights on in the tunnel, mate. They would have driven through them like this anyway. You turn your cab light on and you've destroyed your eyes are no longer adjusted to the dark. It doesn't really work like that in the sim, but I tend to leave them alone. Just because I'm a total nerd like that. Just checking I'm not dragging any brakes, because it really feels like we're struggling here. Sure, they've done something with the lighting as well. It looks just shinier. You can see the remains of another line over there on the left. Sidings or something. 1983, the previous 15 to 20 years had seen a lot of the British railway network sadly dug up, removed. So stretches of line that literally went nowhere were not all that uncommon, and still plenty of spaces where you could see the scars where the track had been lifted. Oh, I think we all want steam trains, man. They keep saying they're going to do it at some point if they can, when they can. I think the problem's not so much that they don't know how to do it, it's doing it without it looking and performing really badly, but keeping it up to the same standards they're setting with the diesels and the electrics. Because to be fair, the attention to detail and what have you is outstanding on these things. If I had to guess, their biggest problem they're probably having is figuring out the actual steam effects themselves without completely destroying their memory budgets. I'm just sort of, I'm guessing that, I'm kind of reading between the lines what Matt Pedalston and others have said on developer streams, that the problem is more making it look like it's not really struggling. I think what I might do is, depending on how we're doing for time, I might switch over to a 45 and go back down the way. Just to compare the performance of the two on these hills. That, and I know where all the buttons are on the 45. See how we're doing for time though. So there's an example there. I've got a signal at the side of the track, and yet that thing up there was telling me it was over a mile to go to the next one. So that's obviously a distance signal or a repeater signal for the main, and as I said a few times before, not always registering on this thing up here, so eyes front and hands out your pockets. Except to get the obligatory odd arty-farty shot through the trees and the branches, obviously. Right, this is more like the performance I remember from this kind of asthmatically wheezing our way up the hill. Do you know what? Who cares when it sounds like that? Just listen to it. I mean, that's a noise that would give Jeremy Clarkson an erection. Let's be honest. Although the one thing about this train is you don't have to be paying quite so much attention to the speed limits on the uphill sections, because the odds of you actually getting to them are fairly slim. There we go, dramatic big pan out and everything. One thing about this route is it does have loads of really good potential places for a quick bit of outside camera action. Right, so still just wheezing along at 40 odd, that's fine. I like that very optimistic sign in the corner there, max speed 95 miles per hour. Aye, okay. I'll do the jokes, pal. Smash the tree, probably. Or drive it through a lot of caravans. Which I have to say, I would probably completely support. Far too many of the damn things trundling around at 20 miles an hour around here during the summer. Grumble, grumble, moan, moan, now get off my lawn, my lawn, or whatever the hell it is. This is, I think, the most almost grindy part of this trip. I remember it now, the uphill climb to Staley Bridge. Oh. Just because there's literally nothing for me to do. I have not touched the controls for the last 5 miles or so, other than to sound the horn occasionally. And there's not even DSD really, because this is old school DSD, where it is a dead man's pedal. The driver just sat with his foot on that, and as long as you've got your foot on that pedal, everything will work. If you keel over and die and take your foot off it, you've got a few seconds and then everything stops. And sorry, just had to concentrate there for the junction and the station. The problem with the dead man's pedal was that it gives you a sore leg after a while. It's there's actually a bit of pressure under there pushing back at you, and it's one of these things that was probably designed by, you know, an engineer who never actually had to use the thing. And a lot of drivers took to doing things like putting toolboxes on it, or, you know, something suitably heavy to weigh it down, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of the thing, really. So late 80s, early 90s, everything was switched over to the more modern system, where it's just timer activated if you don't operate the controls. Wasn't retrofitted to older locos though. Certainly these old things never got the modern system. I'm not sure if the 43 or the 125 as it was when it launched, I'm not sure if that originally had a dead man's pedal or was one of the first trains with a newer system. I'm pretty sure, what's my speed limit now? Yeah, I'm going far too slowly. Right, we're definitely going to be late now because I just completely buggered up the last mile or so. Too busy droning on about how good the 1970s were. Oh, and there we go with the fake tunnel ending again. Suddenly escapes from you. Just when you think you're nearly there. Actually, the end of the tunnel, I think this might be the longest tunnel, because the end of this one is where we'd go back down to 45 again. I kind of like driving through tunnels in the dark. When you've got the sound up and you're not, you know, you're not concentrating on other things, it can be quite cathartic for something so noisy. Because you just end up focusing on that little point at the end of the tunnel and almost zoning out. Oh, sudden flash of mystery magic light from somewhere. I think we've still got another half mile of tunnel to run though. Yeah, that's how you do it. And back up to 60. Right, I think we're past the worst of the hill climbs now, so you get to actually drive the train again. So in fact, you can use the straight brake to manage the speed on the gentle slopes. And you can with the passenger train anyway. I'm not sure how that's going to work trying to do it with a loaded fuel train or what have you. Very claustrophobic feeling sometimes, this line. I really like it actually, how close up to you get to the scenery sometimes on these provincial lines. I mean, there's times it feels like you could reach out and chap on somebody's window as you're going by. A couple of stretches of, I think it's Ruhr-Signord's got a couple of bits like that as well. You'd basically drive them right past people's windows at one point. That was cool. See what we're doing for time. No, it's going to be really, really tight. We might be a minute or so late. In fact, we will be, because we're going to be. You factor in the sort of the slowdown time. Oh well. Probably still doing better than the actual British Rail would have done on a rainy afternoon. That was their weakness, is the weather could get them so easily, just because the trains, a lot of them were sold in crap by the 1980s. I've got a minute to go and 2 miles to run. No danger. These are more of those tower things. Okay, so just coming into the last mile or so now, so we'll think about getting ready to slow the train down. And it's a 15 mile per hour entry speed, so we'll just start losing that. Aye, so we're a minute behind. But we should still be within the 3 or 4 minutes that it gives you. Yeah, whistle while you works tomorrow, mate. We're a day early for that. Well, but 4.5 hours too early for that. Oops, letting the speed creep up on me a wee bit there. I was not paying enough attention. Oops. Just make sure that we get the whole train on. And yeah, a couple of minutes I think we were behind. 16:36, so yeah, 2.5 minutes, and most of that was when I was faffing about down at the bottom end of the tunnel. So not a very long loading time here. Let's just get ready to close up and go. Better watch I don't actually overcook it. That should be okay. Yeah, I can probably just pile it all on now. I think Warp 1 is just a mite ambitious for the 47. In fact, I'm speeding already. Oops. Oh, semaphores, magic. They're usually okay. It's when you've got the sun behind them and you can't really always make out whether it's a yellow or a red one you've just gone under. It's alright when they're double stacked like that, but it's the single ones that are sometimes just throw me a wee bit. Uh, 7 minutes? Nah, they've got that long, slow approach into Manchester. No chance. Now, there is a signal down here that has caught me out a few times before. There apparently is no distant or repeater component to it. And occasionally I've found it red. Ah, it's all good. Don't need to hammer it, man. It's we might still make it within the 4 or 5 minutes you're allowed. Okay, so we'll just Shed a wee bit of speed here. So we're all clear. Signals on the left don't apply to us on that gantry. A little bit sooner than I needed, so we'll just let them back out. And the 20 mile an hour is for passing through Miles Platting, I think it's called. Okay, so it's getting busy now. Just put a bit of power in this little stretchy line here. Downhill, so we can actually get a half decent clip of speed on. Fair enough, you're going to be almost immediately trying to get rid of most of that, but it's okay. Ooh, it's very downhill here. I'd forgotten just how downhill. Okay, so advanced caution, fine, don't need to worry too much about the next one. The next signal is also where the speed limit comes into force, so... Oh yeah, it's a lovely sounding train. I think all the diesels are though. All diesel electrics just sound amazing by sheer dint of the fact they're diesel electrics. Oh, come on, brakes. Aye, good enough. And then we can just use the straight brake to balance the speed on the way in now. Right. Not too bad. Due in at 28. Yeah, so 2 minutes late. Not too bad. Considering how far away from the speed limit I was for a lot of that trip. Didn't get down to 10 mile an hour either. That was a bit naughty. Just realised I don't know if I got the back of the train. Oh, just on. Yeah, that's okay. They could work with that. It would be a pain in the ass for the platform porters, but they could work with that. Alright. Yeah, so made it on the green for all of them regardless. That's not too bad. Oh, listen, being 2 minutes late is the least of my worries. They'd have had my paycheck for a lot worse than that. Oh, yay, another little achievement thing. No points or anything, but hey ho. Let's just watch it go out. I don't know how far it actually gets before it has to stop again. Not very far, I don't think. Right, that was good. I think I'm going to do a return run as well. Let's dig the 45 out. And I think while we're loading the screen at heaven, oh, never mind, we're at the menu, not to worry. Right, that's more like it. We'll do away with the rain this time, I think. And I think I will take a very, very, very quick comfort break as well before I do that return trip. Okay, let's drive a train, and I think this time we'll do an afternoon express. So this will only stop, I think it only stops at Huddersfield. The express services and what's the other one called? The travelling post office. Those will only stop once, as far as I remember. And all the other ones, you'll do the Stalybridge and Dewsbury as well. Okay, so this is a bit of an easier one to set up. When it says headlight, it means the markers. Let's put the straight brake on. Master key on. Let the drivers brake it. Not even going to bother turning the AWS on this time because there just isn't any need for it, quite frankly. It doesn't do anything. And as soon as the gauge is filled up in the top right, the top left there, we'll just go ahead and lock up. And then we just shouldn't have to wait too long. Yeah, 15 seconds or so. Okay, so I just need to be keeping an eye on where we're being sent. Don't think you actually need to call for permission to go through that one, if I'm being honest, because we're crossing a track. So in actual fact, those reds didn't apply, strictly speaking, to us, although I couldn't see the little sort of sub-component thing for a track crossing. You always get a lot of squeaking and grinding going around here as well, and you think you're dragging something, but you're not really. It's just all those twists and turns you've just driven through. The rest of the train's still doing that, and it's just the steel wheels squeaking against the the rails as they go around all those bends. It sounds like something bad's happening down the back, but it's not. I think we'll just put the seat down just a little bit so it's easier to read the instruments. I was a wee bit too early again on the brakes as well, but yeah, it's not the end of the world. I think I clearly need the practice on the Pennines. thought I would just enjoy that noise there for a wee minute. Do love the sound of these things. Also don't remember what the last signal I passed was. It was green, I'm pretty sure. Bit rusty with this as well, it has to be said. It looks a lot like the 37 from Tees Valley, but it certainly doesn't quite handle like one. Not with a passenger train behind it anyway. And this thing honestly just feels like it would keep on giving you power as long as you asked it to, if you had a long enough stretch of line to do it. Oh, I think I might be speeding actually, I am. Oops. Get away with that, I think. So another fast stretch of line coming up. We can just pile the power in now though, I think. We'll not get anywhere near 75, but it's always fun just to let all that power out at once. Little bit too aggressive there maybe with the brakes. Again, that's just a practice thing. It's not too difficult to judge it once you've done a couple of runs in this thing. And then we just crawl through Staley Bridge, 15. Ish. Hi Chris, how we doing, man? Welcome, good to see you again. Oh no, we'll not be doing 75 if I'm pushing, Tommy. Christ, I can barely run a bath, never mind run at 70 miles an hour. Right, we just let it roll now. We'll possibly creep slightly over the limit, but not enough to worry about. Enough that you could put down to faulty calibration of the equipment or some such. After all, what else is the train maintenance book for if not to cover up the driver's mistakes? Ooh, something funny going on with the tunnel entrance. Oh, there it is. So, I have to be honest, I don't always wait until the whole train's in the tunnel before I hit the power here. Oh no, not bored of it, mate. Not bored of it at all. But the freight train's coming tomorrow for trans-Pennine, so I thought, might as well have a wee practice run. I suspect that the English routes are going to now become like the German routes were with me for a while, where I'm just going to jump back and forward between them. Right, let's just get the boot down and get going. Oh, they've definitely fixed the tunnel lighting. This is much better. Admittedly, probably not for you guys, because it's literally a row of lights and some clock faces, but there's not too much of that. There's a couple of stretches of it, but it's fine. Right, let's just get going now. Full welly to Huddersfield, I think, most of the way. Hey Spurs Reading, welcome to the stream. I'm very well, thank you. Hope you're all good. We're just getting ready here for the new freight trains tomorrow. I thought spend a bit of time humping it over the Pennines, get a feel for it again. I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow. I'm sure I have seen a release date somewhere. And the fact that the front end store on the game isn't working, that usually means they're about to release something. big laggies there. Right, so we're getting into the uphill bit now, so it shouldn't really be a problem in the 45. I'm not expecting to struggle the way I did on the way up. A teeny weeny bit more power there. Oh, big bit power there. Yeah, I don't know how much it's going to be. I really wish they would tell us before they release them how much they're going to be. That is a little bit annoying, that, but I don't know. I mean, because they've not released a pack like this with more than one locomotive in it yet, so it might be a bit more than the £11–12 we paid before, but I don't think it's going to be quite as much as a route. I would expect to pay somewhere between what I paid for the 155 and what I paid for West Somerset, which was a bit cheaper than the other routes, £20 I think that was. But I'm just sort of taking a guess there, really. I have no idea. Right, let's try not to forget the 45 limit on this junction this time. That was pretty poor. Yeah, I know what you mean about DLC for a DLC, but I don't know. Do you know what? I begrudge it when a billion-dollar company like Activision does it. I don't begrudge it so much when a team that is measuring their sales in the thousands rather than the millions of copies has to get creative about how they're going to pay their 60 staff every month, you know. I'm kind of used to this because I played simulators on PCs back in the 2000s, and this is kind of always how simulations have worked. It's never been a big enough market to be able to you know, stack them high and sell them low kind of thing. It's never worked like that, unfortunately. But I get for a lot of people who've maybe never played that kind of game very much, or not really, you know, maybe new to the whole sim thing. I understand why it seems really, really out of order to a lot of people. I do get it. But I don't personally have a massive problem with it. So this is the big long ass tunnel. It's another mile and a bit to go of it, so a minute or so, maybe minute and a half. Even if you do switch to the external camera, assuming it doesn't clip into the wall like that, which it has a bad habit of doing, there's not a great deal to see inside the tunnels. So the ground signal on the left there, that's a pretty decent sort of reference point to use for thinking about losing the 20 mile an hour or so. You've still got half a mile of tunnel to run at this point, or half a mile to the speed limit change anyway. So you've got a bit of time in your pocket, but it's a good visual aid. Dovetail announced today. Oh, a new US local. Right, okay. My thoughts are I knew nothing about it. That's interesting. And potentially quite good news. Because ATC and Access have never worked properly on that route. Like, they are really quite badly broken to the point that you cannot use them realistically if you don't have a keyboard, because you need to be able to turn them on and off at certain points. Now, when they released the 182, or they announced the 182 was coming to rapid transit, PZB was in a similar state on that line, and the pushback was, well, you better fix rapid transit or we're not buying it. And they fixed rapid transit. It's brilliant. So if that means that they're going to fix the safeties on the North American routes and actually fully implement them, then my thoughts on that are that you might see quite a bit more content from the North American routes from me, basically. and I will go and have a look at this announcement after this stream's done. Thank you. I had no idea. I actually don't really social media very much. I have Twitter that I lurk on more than I actually tweet on, and it's not train related anyway. My account, it's I don't have a Facebook anymore or stuff like that, so I completely missed that. So thank you. And there's a shunter called the ECW. Ah, fuck. If it's a shunter, well, they might not need to fix anything, but I still hope that people go, nah, not buying it, and they fix stuff anyway. A shunter's fine though, actually, because do you know what? I've been playing with the shunter on Tees Valley, and it's great fun. It's really... One thing that I thought the German routes were really strong at for a long time was they had more freight content than any the British stuff, or the American thing is quite lacking in freight as well, I think. So it's good to see that sort of being expanded out the way. And now, in fact, the one thing that the German routes don't have is much in the way of shunting. There's a bit of yard work on a few of the services, but getting more and more of that stuff. I'll take more of that. Weird thing is I'll happily spend an afternoon trundling around a goods yard at 10 miles an hour knocking trains together, but I still can't get my head around trundling along at 15 miles an hour on a working museum. You would think I would actually get on alright with that route, but nah, I tried it again yesterday briefly and just... oh... One of these days I will make a stream where I don't say something negative about West Somerset. I totally don't have any buyer remorse or anything like that. What was the time there? 20 minutes. So we're probably going to be more or less on time. It's actually 65, not 60 along here. We'll just use the straight brake to trim the speed down here, I think. Thing with the straight brake is it's not very strong, but it is very responsive. When you release it, it releases straight away. It's not like the driver's brake that takes a few seconds. It is, however, bloody noisy. I think I should probably adjust the game audio levels before I do this again. Oh my word. I don't know how loud this is on the stream, but my god, my ears are getting a pounding. Yeah, Chris, it's the speed limits that do it for me as well. I know that I could drive along it at 50 miles an hour if I wanted to, but the problem is I'm really, really I'm one of those really sad, nerdy ones that if there's a speed limit there, then that's what I'm going to do. I can't help it, and it's not a bad route. It's all right, and it's really, really quite pleasant visually. It's one of the better ones, I would say, especially a lot of the attention to detail stuff around the station, the stuff that they're quite good at. But at most you only pass one train going in the opposite direction as well. It feels quite empty, even by the standards of the early routes. But it's not to say it's bad, it's not. It really is not bad. It's just not my cup of tea. Ooh, wee bit late getting down to the speed limit there. Too busy talking about speed limits to notice the speed limit. Nearly made a mess of that. And it is still quite easy to grind to a halt down there without meaning to. Class doing the shunt. I don't actually know where it's going to do it. I don't. I had a read through the sort of the blurb thing on their website a day or two ago, but I don't remember it saying explicitly. Tell you what, let's have a wee look on the map once we far too fast, may I add, pull into Huddersfield. Oh, a little bit short. Oh, fuck it, never mind. Well, there looks like a good candidate. I've no idea what that place is. There's not much up. I mean, there's not much there. That's just an engine depot, really, by the looks of it. But I'm kind of guessing probably there. Or there. Or there. Right, so there is oh shit, lock the doors. Oops. So there's a few candidates, but I'm not certain. I don't know what all those are. Just because it looks like a goods yard from above on a map or a plan, it doesn't necessarily mean it is. go back and have another look. Likely candidates would be any of those places where you've got you can get in and out from both ends. If you can only access it from one end and it's a dead end at the other, it's a fairly good indicator they're just sidings as opposed to an actual like the sidings themselves have to connect an entry and an exit line, if you know what I mean. No, I'm describing it really badly. There's a certain sort of pattern to the tracks that would suggest one might be a good yard rather than just somewhere where they park up empty trains when they're not using them. Marshalling yard, that's the word I'm looking for. Right, let's go. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. You can see you can get in from that end and from this end. Oh no, that just goes up to a dead side, and so there's a shunt head up there. So yeah, that could be a candidate. Although the fact you can only get out going in one direction suggests maybe not, because you would normally expect goods trains to be able to depart both ways from a marshalling yard. Not 100% of the time, mind you. I mean, there are exceptions, but if you're coming straight out onto a trunk line, you don't want to be faffing about having to go backing up and stopping on main lines and changing directions. Mind you, we'll find out in what, 3.5 hours, I guess. Oh, I'm going far too fast. Naughty, naughty, naughty. Far too slowly in one direction, far too fast in the other. Might as well just scrub the rest of that speed off. Get down to 50 a bit earlier, and that'll sort of that'll compensate. What I don't want to do is start running into signals, frankly. Right, fastest stretch of the line here, and don't know that we'll get up to the full 80, but we'll still get a fair amount of speed on it at a 45. I don't know if I'll do a stream tomorrow, Sports Reading. It depends how much time. Sorry, not Sports Reading. I need to go back to Specsavers, man. Spurs Reading. I don't know. It will depend very much on how my day in real life goes. It could be quite a long one, so not sure is the honest answer. I will do something about it very, very soon. And I do try when I can to do new content on the day it comes out. If I do it, it will probably be around this time of day though. But it'll need to wait and see, I'm afraid. Probably a wee bit sharpish again with the brakes there, but again, just a wee bit rusty with this. Oh yes. Oh, right, I've got a... Shit. That was a caution. That was an advanced signal at caution. And another one. Right, we better slow this the fuck down. It looks like I've got a green. I wonder what that was for. Curious. Right, well we can, yeah, there was nothing, I don't know why I got those, maybe just to make you slow down a little for that station. Not unknown to use signals for that sort of thing. What are we doing for time? So, oh, loads of time. In fact, oh, this might be one of these ones where I end up sat outside bloody Leeds for ages on a red. So back to 3-colour aspect signalling, which means basically if you can only see 3 lights on the signal head as you go past, then there will be no advanced cautions. You will go straight from green to yellow to red. Yeah, that would be cool if you could double them up. Somebody needs to tweet that to Matt Pedalston, in fact. Because what I've noticed about Dovetail is they're actually pretty good. If somebody suggests something on the forums, if they can do it quickly and easily, they quite often do. In fact, I think we're getting to pull passenger trains with the 40 because somebody pointed out to them, well, occasionally the 40 did. I think the only caveat they have is if they didn't do it in real life, they won't do it in the game, which is why they won't put certain units on certain lines. So if those particular units were never doubled up to pull expresses over this route, they probably wouldn't do it. Actually, 11 minutes to do 6 miles might be about right, with the slightly reduced speeds for the rest of the way. This is thankfully a much shorter tunnel than the others, if I remember correctly. Although short is a relative term on this this line. This is why I cringe when people say that they think the London Underground or something like that would be a good one to do. No, scenery please. And I know that the tunnels, underground tunnels, are slightly better lit than these ones, but still. Love all the old signal boxes still standing at the side of the track as well. They're all gone now. Hardly any of those left. Really, really impressive things to see inside. If you look one up on YouTube and watch the guy working it, and all he's got is bells going off in his ear to tell him what's happening, and all these levers and shit, and it's really good. Not for a second suggesting we should go back to that system, because it undoubtedly was responsible for so many accidents, but it was still some sight to behold. More or less unchanged for over 100 years. Any British routes that I'd like to have on? Well, I'm going to say the same thing as everyone else. I want the bit that goes past my house, so I can see my house in a computer game. Actually, I would quite like to see some of the West Highland route maybe, or the East Coast main line between Edinburgh and Dundee. Slightly longer than they normally do, but is one of the most beautiful stretches of railway that you will travel along. And yes, I am biased as about that. I would like to see a fast high-speed section, something modern. I would love to see that. I don't really care where, just somewhere high-speed and modern. Maybe the excuse me, maybe the London to Brighton or something like that would be really good. I've had a few versions of that route down the years on different sims and always enjoyed it. Had the South Coast as well, out to as far as, oh hell, I can't remember where it went to. Actually, what I would really, really like to see is not another British route, or a German route, or an American route. I'd quite like a proper high-speed route. And I mean proper, like a French TGV or a Japanese Shinkansen. Although I think we're a wee bit away from that yet, because let's face it, this game does kind of struggle at 125, never mind 225. So 5 minutes to run, mile and a half to go. We'll be ish on time ish. Oh, speed limit coming up. It's we're going to have to hit them hard enough to rattle a few teacups anyway. Yeah, it's probably a few soggy copies of the Telegraph in business class now, but never mind. Oh, no, sorry, we're about 20 years too early for business class. First class. So the advanced caution. This is what I always worry coming into Leeds, that I'm going to get the mystery red signal bug. Right, let's be careful going up here. Right, that's fine. It's that signal, that overhead signal there is sometimes red, and it just never seems to change if you get stuck on a red here. But I think we should be okay. One more to go past, I think. Cheeky wee shunt signal. Should also be down to 10 miles an hour. Aye, there's certainly some nice scenery up here, Spurs Reading. It's some really, really nice scenic railways. But if you've ever been into the Pennines, a lot of it's certainly the lowlands. A lot of that looks very similar to a lot of the Pennines. My only experiences much further south than that are of the cities, I'm afraid. So, and they pretty much look the same wherever you go, don't they? .49 on the clock. So actually, more or less, bang on. Hey. And much better than the last time I did this on stream, where I believe I blew out the traction motors on the way in, and then possibly spadded while I was trying to coast the rest of the way. So we just crawl in. There's the post office train standing at the platform over by. Yeah, near enough. Oh, I should use this view a bit more actually, because I can still see the instruments from here. Right, I'll need to remember that. Yeah, a lot of people had that bug. Some of these things were not... They're there as scenery objects, essentially, I think. They don't fire up properly, which was quite annoying. I thought they'd fix that. I tend not to do any actual train hopping on these routes. I just go to the menu and start the services from there, by and large. Yeah, too many bugs with the sound and stuff if you try switching ends on these trains. Or starting them up from climbing aboard, sort of thing. Do a lot of it on the German routes, especially main Spessart. That's brilliant for just doing one big long session, going back and forward if you've got the time for it. Sadly, I don't have as much of at the moment, but never mind. So, 15:55. So yeah, we're plenty of time to spare. We won't be driving that because the route only goes about another 600 or 700 yards around that corner, and then you despawn. So we'll just leave the train standing there, and I think that is probably a pretty good place to call it. We've done one up, one down. That'll hopefully refresh my memory a wee bit for when we get the new stuff tomorrow, and there'll definitely be another stream coming very soon once I've sunk my teeth into that a little bit. So yeah, that was Manchester to Leeds. I enjoyed driving it. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I'll see you guys again.